Welcome to Rewatch and Rank. On this channel, we rewatch older TV shows, provide a summary and opinion on the episode before ranking each episode against each other. Today's episode is Charmed Season 2, Episode 16, Murphy's Luck. The episode in a nutshell is just a brief reminder of exactly what happens within this episode. So, the main plotline of this episode follows Prue. Prue is starting her journey to become a professional photographer and has gone to a magazine to basically show her portfolio and resume to try to get a job. Based on her portfolio, the hiring person likes her work. However, her resume obviously has nothing to do with photography, and so he's a little on the fence about hiring her. So he gives her a test job to get a picture of Maggie Murphy, who is Irish and going to be featured in the magazine for the St. Patrick's Day edition, who had been somebody who was doing a lot of good work and charity work, who unfortunately started to have a string of bad luck and is considered to be the unluckiest woman in the city. So Prue goes to take her photograph and finds her on the ledge of a building and uses her magic to save her. And Maggie then thinks that she is an angel. And when she goes to the police station to visit Maggie, she decides to cast a spell to restore Maggie's luck. However, what she didn't know was that there was a type of dark lighter called a spirit killer who was haunting Maggie to try to get her to jump. And because he was haunting her, and Prue's spell has now protected Maggie from him, he now targets Prue and curses her with bad luck, and she starts becoming clumsy, almost gets in an accident with Phoebe, which parallels an event from their past where they were in an accident when they were younger. And he basically drives Prue to a bridge that she had gone to after the accident when they were teenagers, in which Phoebe got hurt. And he then tries to drive her to jump. However, Phoebe and Piper have figured out the dark lighter with Leo's help, and they arrive at the bridge, and they're at the bottom of it, she's at the top of it, and they're yelling at her that she's stronger than him, that there is a dark lighter there. And Prue turns around and manages to see the dark lighter and basically flings him away, but he's undeterred by this because she doesn't have the power to kill him. And he basically says that, he'll get her to jump eventually, and he's never lost a mission yet. However, that is when Leo comes and basically takes the dark lighter away, where we can assume the white lighters were able to kill him, which brings us to our subplot, which is, of course, in the previous episode at the end, Piper made her decision that Leo was the one. And now she has informed Leo of this decision. However, she isn't willing to be with him until she's able to break up with Dan, who she can't break up with because he's on a business trip. And so Leo continues to help them as immortal. However, when they go to face the Dark Lighter, knowing that he could help but isn't able to because he's mortal now, he makes a plea and an appeal to the elders to provide him his powers back so that he can help the sisters. And they basically give him his powers back, which is why when Prue faces Darklighter and is able to overcome him, Leo is then able to grab him and orb him away, seemingly so that the elders can kill him or imprison him or whatever the case may be, basically making it so he is no longer a danger to the sisters. And then at the end of the episode, we have Prue getting her picture of Maggie published. And we also then have Leo returning back after taking the Darklighter away to speak to Piper. And Piper tells him that she had always known that this was a possibility, that he would be a White Lighter again, and that she's willing to find a way, and he says he'll hold her to that. And so they end reaffirming that he is still her choice. Now that we've been reminded about what happened within the episode, it's time to rank the episode. As always, we rank on two lists, our mostly objective ranking list, which is absent emotion, and our personal ranking list, which is based on the emotional response to the episode and overall opinion of the episode. So as always, we start with our mostly objective rank values, and I highlighted the ones that I thought applied to this episode. So first, we have our multi or single episode supporting character introduction, which is Maggie Murphy, who is the innocent of the episode who is being targeted by the Darklighter unknowingly because all of the good that she had done previously has made her a future Whitelighter. The Darklighter, I want to honorably mention that he's there. However, he's never named. He's just a Darklighter, one of many. And so while it is a character, if they don't even bother to give them a name, I don't know that they can necessarily count for points, which is why I did not include him for points, though, like I said, honorably mentioning he was there. So that's at 1 point so far. We then get 4 points for our multi-season main character development, which is that we get Prue's first spell that she has written herself and cast herself. Phoebe has done it a couple times by now, but this is the first time, and it's mentioned in the episode that it is her first time, casting her own spell and writing her own spell. We also see that she is now officially a professional photographer because she has her first published photograph, which is the photo of Maggie Murphy that she eventually takes. The first time she tried to take her photo, because of the Darklighter's curse, none of the photos turned out. But after defeating the Darklighter, it looks like she went and took the photos again, and this time they turned out well, and she got published. We also have Leo becoming a Whitelighter again and regaining his wings. Next, we have 4 points for our main relationship development, which is, of course, that Piper, after she made her decision at the end of the last episode, was being a bit standoffish, and Leo's like, I think you're mad at me. I think something's wrong. Like, something's going on. You can tell me, you can talk to me. And she confesses, basically, so that he stops worrying, that he is the one that she had chosen, but that she hadn't wanted to tell him or to fully enter into a relationship with him until she's given Dan the respect that he deserves and breaks up with him first. However, he is on a business trip to New York for a week, and so they have to wait. Which Leo respects, though. She does have smudge lipstick because they do kiss once. But I mean, like, if you're told that you're the choice, that's going to happen. But after that, like, they're not going to be together until she has been able to break up with Dan. We also see at the end of the episode when Leo gets his wings back, he comes back to Piper and tells her that it was that it was his idea to get his wings back, that he couldn't stand not being able to help them or be there for them. And she tells him, which is what he was hoping for, that she had always known that it was a possibility that he may get his wings back one day, that he may become a Whitelighter again, and that she's made her choice and she is willing to work on it and work on them being together. And he then smiles at her and says that he'll hold her to it while they're holding hands in the foyer. Which brings us, of course, to our supporting relationship regression or breakup. Now, obviously, Dan is not in town. She cannot officially break up with him at this point. However, we do get a phone call from Dan in the episode where Dan is basically sensing the end. He basically calls her. He says that, he felt like when she was saying goodbye before the trip, that he sensed she had something important to tell him, but was refraining so that it wouldn't ruin his trip. And she, of course, tries to deny it, but of course, she's, awkward on the phone because she has decided to break up with him, and that was the information she was hiding. And then Dan, sensing that it is getting close to the end and that Piper's maybe not as in it as she was before, that he even mentions that he feels like something's gone or something's missing. He tells Piper not to pick him up from the airport when he gets back from his trip, that he'll get a cab and then they can have dinner or something, which shows that he's feeling the end of it. She's obviously made her choice with Leo, and so this is just a regression that basically the inevitable is about to occur, and that is a -3, which makes this episode on our mostly objective ranking a 6 out of 10 episode. And so, as a reminder of our season 2 rankings so far for our mostly objective ranking list, in first place we have Witch Trial, The Painted World, She's a Man, Baby, a Man, They're Everywhere, P3H2O, Ms. Hellfire, Awakened, Give Me a Sign, Morality Bites, Heartbreak City, Pardon My Past. This episode, Murphy's Luck, is 12th place. And then we have That Old Black Magic, Reckless Abandon, Animal Pragmatism, and then so far in last place, The Devil's Music. Which then brings us to the personal ranking for this episode. Obviously, I felt like this episode was a very strong episode overall. Like, I didn't find there were any major negatives. I love that Leo's gotten his wings back because we can't get the future Twice Blessed without him being a white lighter, so I think that that is amazing. Plus, we could see that while he still had all of his accumulated knowledge from his 50 years being a white lighter, he wasn't able to assist, he wasn't able to confirm any information for them, and we could see how hard that was on him. So him becoming a white lighter again is good, especially since he has come back and is still willing and ready to be with Piper, and Piper is now ready and willing to be with him. So obviously that's great. It is a little disappointing that they didn't even get a single episode to be happy as a couple, as like him as a mortal, her as a witch, before he goes and gets his wings back. But at the same time, that is part of the magic of the show and the drama of the show with regards to the personal relationships. So can't really fault that. Though it would have been nice to have seen them be like blissfully happy for a little bit and then he gets his wings back. But they're already blissfully happy, so then it's not as big of an impact. But again, Piper has made her choice. She's confirmed and reconfirmed that that choice is staying. And we as rewatchers know that that is in fact the case. It is going to be staying. Leo, at least for the next future several seasons. So we're happy about that. With Prue, obviously, her career change, she's moving forward. We see some character growth. We get some insight into their past. We get to know that Grams was always hardest on Prue, that Grams wouldn't let Prue go away for school, that she had to stay in the city, and that was because Grams knew that they were going to be witches, so she didn't want any of them moving apart, which of course obviously didn't work because once she died, Phoebe went to New York before coming back, but she did eventually come back. That's when they got their powers. But basically, Prue wanted to pursue photography. She wanted to go to school out of state. Grams said no. Prue then basically decided to run a red light and got in an accident, and the only person hurt in the accident ended up being Phoebe. And so when she gets cursed with bad luck, and the first thing that happens is that she has an accident with Phoebe in the car, and Phoebe has to go to the hospital and finds out that she has like a slight concussion. This of course brings back those memories, which is what the Dark Lighter takes advantage of. So after that accident in the past, Prue went to that same bridge, took a photo of the bridge, cried on the bridge, and now that, she's hurt Phoebe again, the photos that she took of Maggie did not work out, again because of the Dark Lighter's curse. And she, at that point, is basically told, your career's over. In fact, I'm going to make sure you never even get to start one, by the guy who had hired her. She, of course, is very upset. She goes back to that same bridge, and that's where the confrontation with the Dark Lighter happens, where the Dark Lighter is trying to get her to jump from it. And so I like that they're paralleling a past event that we weren't able to see on screen with like the present event, and we're learning a little bit more of the backstory, some things that happened in the past. So that deepens the characters, which is amazing. But it really was a good episode. It just wasn't like a very compelling episode. Like, it wasn't one that kept you on the edge of your seat and commanded all of your attention while it was playing, which is why I decided to give it a 7 out of 10. It's still a very good episode. It's just not the best. And with that, we now have our season 2 ranking so far for our personal ranking. And in first place, we have Give Me a Sign, P3H2O, Awakened, Ms. Hellfire, Heartbreak City, Witch Trial. This episode, Murphy's Luck, is in 7th. Then we have The Painted World, They're Everywhere, Pardon My Pass, Reckless Abandon, She's a Man Baby, a Man, The Devil's Music, Animal Pragmatism, Morality Bites, and then least favorite so far in the season is That Old Black Magic. And that now brings us to our final segment, which is our series ranking so far. On our mostly objective side, Season 1 ended with 73.18%, and Season 2 so far has accumulated a score of 122 out of a maximum 220. Then on the personal side, Season 1 ended with 71.50%, and Season 2 so far has only accumulated 91 out of 220. So with that, we've now rewatched and ranked Charmed Season 2, Episode 16, Murphy's Luck. Like and subscribe if you'd like to, and I'll see you in the next episode.